It's gonna make me sit in your lap.
So how's the prep going for Auburn, Coach?
It's going good. You know, having a chance now that camp's over, back in school, getting a good opportunity to take a look at them on film and kind of figure out what they're going to do. Obviously, you're looking at what Coach Steele did at LSU last year. You're looking at what he did this spring in the spring game, and you know, trying to just turn over every stone, just in anticipation of what we're going to see. But it's been good prep so far.
Without giving anything away, you see any tendencies? Is there similar between what he did at LSU and what maybe when he's back here at Clemson?
You know, you see a lot of similarities, but you also see some things that he's doing differently. Obviously, he's got an Alabama background, so he's he's worked with Nick Saban, so he kind of knows that odd front. So you see him jump in and out of structure a lot like he did here. He can play odd, he can play 4 down, he can play man coverage, he can play zone. Their guys do a really good job of disguising coverage. So you see a lot of similarities of when he was here, but you also see a couple of changes as well that you've seen him develop over the years.
What do you think about the 2 defensive ends they've got, specifically Lawson?
Very good. Lawson is very good. He was a guy that we recruited out of high school and committed to Auburn early, and then opened it back up, and we thought we had a shot, and ultimately went back with Auburn. But he's as fast as anybody we're going to see coming off that edge. I know he's going to be anxious to play. He got hurt, I think, maybe early in his career and missed some games last year, so he's going to be excited. But he'll be as fast as anybody we've seen off the edge.
A bit of a test you'd like that defensive line to kind of open up with in the first game to see just how ready your offensive line is.
Oh yeah, looking forward to the challenge. You know, we ended with a great defensive line, and we practice every day against a really, really good defensive line. And so I think our guys are going to be up to the challenge, and they're going to be ready to play. It's going to be a hostile environment, and so just making sure that everybody's prepared, knowing what we're doing. If we know our plan, we'll have an opportunity to execute.
With the running backs, would you say Adam is clear-cut number 2 right now, or is it still very much up?
We're going to take that all the way into the game in a game week. I tell you what, Adam's come on here late. Tyshawn's looked as good as he's ever looked, and Fuller, Fuller's making strides. So it's going to be a tough decision, but I like that because now you have some continuity behind Wayne, and it's going to keep those guys on the edge, make them practice hard all the way up until the game, and all those guys got to be ready because at that position, you're one injury away from being with your 3rd or your 4th guy. But really, really like all 3 of those guys, and we're going to go into game week and see who comes out with the most consistency in practice that week and determine who's the second one to run out there. But they all got to be ready to play.
Behind Jordan Leggett, has any of the other tight ends shown you the ability to create space to be a playmaker?
Milan had a really, really good scrimmage, and he's continued to be consistent since that scrimmage, so we're excited about him. Garrett has made a lot of strides, especially catching the ball out of the backfield. We know that Garrett is really, really good at the point of attack in our run game, but he's shown some promise catching the ball. So I'd say Milan, has kind of moved up there, and so you'll see a combination of Milan and Garrett if something were to go down with Leggett.
Any changes as far as the offensive line goes, or is it pretty much status quo as far as the 1 and 2s?
Yeah, pretty much status quo coming out of that last scrimmage. But got to have Big John ready to play. Got to have Maverick ready to play. Taylor Hearn, all those guys ready to play. And then again, same thing. You got young tackles going into that environment. We're very, very confident in Ankrum and Pollard, but also having some of those older guys ready to play in that situation in case we need them.
Where do you have Simpson primarily?
Simpson's been playing at left guard. He's been playing at left guard. That's where he played in high school. That's where he's most confident. And he's a guy that has a skill set that you can move him, to a tackle position in the future. But the big thing is getting him ready to play because physically, he was very, very impressive coming in the doors. Mentally, don't want to overload him. Get him comfortable, get him confident, and then we can cross-train him later.
Falcinelli just focusing on center, and I'm sure he can't.
No, Falcinelli is a guy that's going to be a guard for us as well. So he gets most of his snaps at center, but we're also working him at guard. And I even seen Coach Caldwell cross-train him, had a little bit of right tackle. So he's played all over the board.
You'd still have him at second string center.
Oh yeah, he'd be behind Joe.
Sure.
Speaking of the O-line, other new guys that came in, since you started game prep, has the game slowed down for any of them? Did you see any of the 3 that you just mentioned? Really stepping up at this point and really focusing on game plan and still not swimming into the playbook from prep? From camp?
You do, because going against Brent Venables every day in practice, man, he really, really challenges you. Personnel-wise, you're going to be challenged with the talent that you face, but then also schematically, he's going to do some things to challenge you. So it's good to get into game prep and slow it down, been able to go back and kind of reconfirm some things for him, slow it down, really, really let them absorb. So you're seeing those guys move a little bit faster, a little bit more consistent, all 3 of those guys that we talked about, because we've gotten into game plan mode.
With the offense, you guys have gotten, it's Deshaun's second year with the team under his helm. You got a lot of these same guys back. the speed of the offense, getting in and out of plays. Do you see that ticking up a little bit quicker this year with the guys having so much knowledge of everything?
You would like to think so, but a lot of that's also going to be game dictated too. What we're getting defensively. Because again, I would imagine that teams are not just going to let us get out there and go as fast as we want. They're going to do some things, and we saw that. After the first years of the up tempo, you saw people taking more chances. Running a little bit riskier defenses, and for us, as a tempo offense, we still got to be sound. So I would like to think with the continuity and the experience, we'd be able to play faster. But again, it's going to be game time situations. We're going to drive the tempo because we want to play fast, but at the same time, Deshaun, just like he had last year, the ability to slow down and make sure we're in a good situation.
We hear a lot about Auburn's defensive line. What have you seen from the linebackers in the secondary?
It's hard to tell because every day it seems like there's a different guy that's coming into the mix. We know there's a couple of transfer guys at the linebacker position and also in the secondary. But watching them last year, they're physical guys. They move well. Going to be well coached. Going to be physical. Now you're coaching the personnel from off of the spring game, but I know 18 is a very good player. Change the number to 6 near the boundary. Long, can run.
We just moved Tony off to the